Hello everyone, here we are today at Barangaroo in Sydney. Barangaroo right next to Darling Harbour, and we're observing one of these days when the restrictions in New South Wales have been significantly lifted. The first thing that you notice is the open restaurants and people dining. There is obviously a number of restrictions in place as to what you can eat, or not what you can eat, but how many people can be in a restaurant like that. But this is still a reopening of Australian economy after the coronavirus cases reached less than 200. That's what the situation is at the moment. Jason is with me, of course. He's walking next to me. He's a little bit too shy to go to the camera at the moment. But let's have a look what we can actually see in Barangaroo. Barangaroo is a place with a massive wharf. It actually leads to King Street Wharf in Sydney and into Darling Harbour. And in here, what you can see, all these boats, they actually offer many types of cruises that you can have throughout city centre, like, you know, the areas like Darling Harbour, Circular Quay, Watson's Bay, Milsons Point, Kirribilli, Bondi Junction, these kind of places. So it's really beautiful in here, and as you can see, that's a pretty beautiful place to go to. What I personally get here is a lot of business dinners. There you go. There's Jason's finger. And many times when I have business meetings here, business events, they are often organised somewhere here, either in Barangaroo or Darling Harbour.
So there's also some cruises, and Daddy taught me that Mum got super sick, and I got a headache, and then Daddy got a headache, and then they should have vomited.
Yeah. So of course, if you take cruises, you need to be prepared that you might get headaches, you might get seasickness. Probably not that much within the bays here, not within Darling Harbour, not within Watson's Bay, or not within Circular Quay. But if you take one of these cruises that goes to the open ocean, for example, the whale watching cruise, that's what happened to us quite a few years ago. We are not used to being on a boat on an open ocean, and unfortunately, we all got sick, except for Jason. He was 6 months old back then, and he actually didn't care. He was extremely happy on that boat. He didn't really get sick or anything like that. So, if you look at that sign here, we're now heading King Street Wharf. That's where we're heading towards. King Street Wharf. What you can see in the front, you'll probably see the bridge and a number of buildings. That bridge is Pyrmont Bridge. It takes you to a National Maritime Museum. I could do a close-up here. There you go, that's National Maritime Museum, one of the things that you can probably see here as a tourist. And then again, look at here at these buildings. This is all restaurants, function centres, beautiful places.
Place a thumbs up.
Thumbs up, yes. And of course, if you like our videos, subscribe, place thumbs up under our videos, place comments. We always welcome them. Okay, we're going to make a small stop here. What we're going to look at is this is where the actual King Street Wharf is. This is where it begins. So you can see different types of ferries and different types of cruises they dock here. And this is where you either get off or hop on board. Now, the buildings there, a little bit further, these buildings, that's the Sydney Convention Centre. A lot of shows happen there. And there's a lot of attractions. There's there you go, look what's here. Casa, that's probably an Italian restaurant, I would say. Judging from the colors, which are red, white and green, just like Italian flag. Well, one thing about Australia, you've got Italian food being the most popular here from all the foods in the world, with Chinese being the second one. And now we're heading towards more tourist attractions, but before we talk about them, Jason wants to say something.
So, you can see that there's loads of things around us, and I can see something that starts with L, and it's safety stuff. and it's a life buoy.
Yeah.
And there's also warning sign. I think there's no pointing at a rocky.
Well, that's the thing. You don't want to fall into water here. That's not a place for swimming. This is just a place for boats.
I think it means don't make your houseboat fall down.
Yeah. All right. We're coming closer to attractions. The first thing that I see here, and it's actually not always here from what I remember, there's a Ferris wheel. There's a Ferris wheel. You can see it right there behind Pyrmont Bridge. I'm not a big fan of Ferris wheel, unfortunately. I don't feel well on them. Yeah. But as we approach a little bit closer, we're now entering the actual King Street Wharf. We're going to see that sign in a moment. Let's take a very quick look here before we enter, though. What do we see? The little tower here, the big tower on the top. You can see being above all the buildings. That's called Sydney Tower. The Westfield Tower, and that's where you can actually take a lift to the top. You can see Sydney from the top of the tower. It's a little bit similar to what you get in Q1 Gold Coast or Sky Tower Auckland, there's a Telstra Tower similar in Canberra. So this is the kind of thing that you see. And now, here we are. We're entering King Street Wharf. And Jason wants to say something, so we're going to let him talk for a moment.
So I can see something that starts with K, and it's a type of street, and it's in front of us. It says King Street.
Yeah, King Street.
And if you answer
it actually says access to King Street.
And if you answer that, you are correct.
So King Street, if you turn right here, if you go straight, you're going to get to King Street, to the city centre, which crosses directly with the most popular streets in Sydney, such as Pitt Street, George Street, or Elizabeth Street. Yeah. Now let's have a look at this left-hand side. There's a number of things that you can do here. There's a mini zoo here, and that's the exit from the mini zoo. So you can see some Australian animals here. To be honest, I don't recommend it that much because I think that the best zoos are in the suburbs.
And that looks like wildlife.
Yeah, that looks like a wildlife. I actually recommend going to zoos like Featherdale National Park in Blacktown. Maybe Gosford Reptile Park, these kind of places. There you go. Now this is Madame Tussauds. This is actually famous all around the world. You've got a number of locations. The most famous one I think is in London. In here, yes, you can see what we call a dummy museum pretty much. And here's another advertisement of wildlife. And have a look at that big croc. What a croc. Big one. Yep. You can see a croc actually inside Sydney Aquarium. So we're going to get next to Sydney Aquarium and show you how it looks. We're not sure if these attractions are open because of coronavirus. The restrictions are still being kind of lifted here in Australia. Not everything has reopened. We know that, for example, theme parks in Gold Coast have not reopened. We know that Luna Park in Sydney has not reopened, and Opera House is closed as well. So at the moment, definitely not an option. Let's have a look here. Wildlife, that's what the entry is, and I think it is open because I can see people inside. They're trying to go inside.
And also we went to Sea Life, I think it's called, and there was a sea life at the Oxford, but I think they should have read some fish.
Okay, let's have a look. One more look at what's happening here. So in here, that's an entrance to Wildlife, Madame Tussauds and Sea Life. In here, let's have a last look at Darling Harbour. So Darling Harbour is right here. You've got all these views from here. You've got Pyrmont Bridge again. Then on the other side, Convention Centre, Sofitel. That means one building is Sofitel. And Ibis. That's another thing you can see here. And once again, the view at National Museum. So I think we're going to stop here for the time being. We wanted to show you what's here from Barangaroo to Darling Harbour. That's what it is. And you see plenty of these boats. You can take cruises on them as well.
There's some boomerangs.
Yeah? Jason, tell us what it is. Boomerangs. And this looks like Aboriginal art, what's on the floor. It's a little bit resembles Aboriginal art.
and I'm gonna get a boomerang and
yeah, that's what will happen. Okay, thank you everyone. As we said, thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and we'll continue providing more videos about interesting locations in Sydney.